So over the course of my channel's history, I have made a lot of... However, after looking at my stash of previous videos, I had soon come to the realization that maybe except for the Slendy Tubbies video, I haven't given a single video game a positive spotlight. And especially mobile horror games. Which does make sense because, well, look at this. However, for every 1,000 crappy mobile games out there, one great one tends to stand out from the rest. And it seems that a lot of the comments would like me to speak about them. So today, I'll be going back on the App Store, but as a spin-off, I'll be showing you horror games that aren't terrible. So what does a good mobile horror game look like? Well, one of the first games I immediately thought of was Eyes, a game that has you go around collecting cash money while running away from a spooky head. But despite the modest premise, I'm sure well over 90% of you have at least heard of this game. And boy, was it scary. Looking at the App Store, this game has managed to near 10,000 ratings with a 4.6. As for the reviews, they're very positive, saying things like, "This game is okay, but I still love it," "Best horror game on mobile," and "I have nostalgia for this game." With the description reading, you break into the mansion at night. It's huge and built like a maze. You're trying to escape, but the monster is after you. Alright, so with all that out of the way, we can now move on into the game. And yeah, the gameplay is just good. A little bit like Slender, the objective is for you to collect 20 bags of coins, which is scattered over 3 layers of a mansion. One interesting element that this game has is for you to be able to see where the monster is. You can do this by finding eyes all over the walls. There are other things too, like bottles of poison, but they're merely used for notes, which its only purpose is for lore building, which is really neat. And the idea of the monster is just amazing. Having a floating head chase you around a mansion is incredibly eerie. Oh, and also, this game runs really well, which is rare for a mobile game, so bonus points for that. But yeah, that's about all this game has to offer. Thankfully, the game isn't overly complicated as it's a rather simple game. Once you collect all the money, you find the escape area and leave, and that's it. There are a few noticeable problems like the linear map design, a lack of replayability, and a bunch of microtransactions. But as long as you can ignore that and view this game, it's scary. Overall, I highly recommend you play this game if you haven't. The second mobile horror game is Granny. Description reads, "Welcome to Granny. Granny keeps you locked in her house. Now you have to try and get out of her house, but be careful and quiet. She hears everything." And looking at the lore of the game, you probably already know what it is. You walk out into a forest, spooky grandma hits you, and now you have to find a way to escape.
AKA Moist Critical's favorite video game to speedrun.
Please react to my videos, Moist Critical.
Granny video game features an unnamed protagonist trapped in a house needing to solve puzzles while avoiding the granny antagonist to get out of the house in a time period of only 5 to 6 days. This game is somewhat based on the Granny Ripper, an old Russian lady who murdered 13 people. A family discovered a trash bag with somebody's dismembered torso in their apartment complex. Checking the security cameras, you do see Tamara Samsonova, aka the Granny Ripper, dragging a trash bag with the torso. You can also see her with a pot, and it is claimed that inside the pot is the victim's head and lungs. You would never think that a grandma can ever do these kind of stuff. Well, it gets worse. When investigators entered her place, they saw a large knife covered in blood in the kitchen. Also, blood was splattered all over the bathroom as well. And police also found her diary, which inside is astrology and even black magic. In the diary, the Granny Ripper would write descriptive murders that she has committed dating back 20 years ago. One entry even described her most recent murder, which she was caught for, which was cutting her neighbor's body into pieces while putting them into plastic bags. It is also assumed that she was a cannibal, considering she would talk about cannibalism in her diary. When she was arrested, she was openly willing to confess to all of her crimes that she did in the past, and she is now locked up in prison, and she will also die in prison.
Now, usually I don't get scared of the appearance of Granny, but occasionally I actually managed to get scared when she popped out of nowhere. One of the only issues I have with this game is that you can only hold one item at a time, but even then, that's not really a problem and more of just a preference. You can definitely tell the game had a lot of love and effort put into it, which is an element a lot of mobile games are missing surprisingly. And even after 5 years of this game being out, they are still updating the game to this day. Impressive. Going in depth with the gameplay, because I'm sure you already know everything about it. The game is challenging, decent, but yeah, on to the next game. The third game I'm going to be playing is The Bathrooms. So out of all of the 4 games, this one is going to be the shortest, with the gameplay just clocking in at 5 minutes. It's an incredibly simple game, but with that being said, I found it to be really unnerving. The description of this game is pretty plain, saying just bathroom vibes, wander around dark halls of urinals collecting strange cubes. The farther away something is, the more incoherent it becomes. But here's the catch. There isn't even a single monster. And the last game I'll be playing is Midnight Remastered, a far more underrated game with just 14 ratings of a 4.1. Unlike the last 3 games, this one takes place in 2D. Really good. 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 Really good.
No more. No. Stop it. More.
Really good. Matter of fact, the lighting is probably better than Granny and I's alike. And speaking of lighting, you'll need it. Because the gimmick of this game is that you always need to have some light in your candle, otherwise you'll die.
Oh, here we go. Oh, here it comes.
This is a mixed bag. It's an incredibly unique take on how the monster kills you, but the only issue is that it can get unnecessarily hard at times. So if you are low on light and you can't find a match, you're pretty much screwed. There's also no way to save your progress, so if you die, you'll have to restart the whole way back. and you win. Overall, the game itself was spooky, but a tad bit flawed. But it is incredibly underrated, so I highly recommend you give this a go. Just move on now. And that was... But other than that, I couldn't find any other scary games to talk about. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Really good. Really good. Really good.